Welcome to another edition of Countdown to November, a series of interviews on the Bayonet. Today with us is Phil Parenti. He's a Republican. He's a candidate for the seat in District 27B. His opponent is Democrat Michael Jackson. Phil, nice to have you with us.
Oh, nice to be here.
Good.
Appreciate it.
For viewers who may be unfamiliar, tell us about yourself.
Okay, just real quick, I am retired Air Force. I'm formerly of airline flight operations and management, and I do have a master's degree in aeronautical science. Until recently, I was chairman of the GOP in Prince George's County. I stepped down to run for this seat. And the reason why I'm running is because I think they've lost their minds in Annapolis. And I want to go there to fight to control the out of control spending and the ever increasing taxes.
Okay.
That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
All right. Now, have you thought about what committee or committees you'd prefer to serve on when you're in Annapolis?
To be honest with you, I haven't given that much thought. I do know that I want to be involved in sort of the financial side of things, so I can kind of keep an eye on what's going on and see how we spend our taxes.
Taxes is a big concern.
Absolutely. I think that, Maryland is number 3 for the states of folks that want to leave. 47%. You probably heard the 47% number of the folks that would leave Maryland if they could. The other 2 states that beat us out, one is Illinois and the other is Connecticut. And I was just reading in the paper recently that all 3 states have governors who are beleaguered by taxes. So I think that that's probably one of the biggest issues that cause angst amongst Marylanders. That's why I'm running.
And I guess the tax situation is, the further heartburn is created by the fact that we're running a deficit.
Absolutely. Right now we have a structural deficit of about well over $400 million.
So what do you think good strategy would be for reducing that deficit or obliterating it?
I think that the most painless way to do that, and I've kind of spoken about this in the past, is to freeze spending, or at least slow down the growth of spending significantly to allow the revenues to catch up and eliminate that structural deficit. Once we get to that point, we can start taking a look at exactly what taxes we can start cutting back on. We also, there are other taxes I'd like to see eliminated. Of course, the rain tax, which I don't think, we don't have that in Calvert County, but we do it on some of the other counties. On the Prince George's County side, we certainly do. I'd also like to see a prevention of the vehicle miles travel tax for being turned on. It's already part of the transportation master plan, but while that would require no legislative action to turn on, it does require legislative action to prevent from turning it on.
Okay, well, let's talk about transportation. That's a big issue in Calvert and Prince George's and other locations. What would you prefer to see as a priority in transportation?
More roads, more bridges, upgrade what we do have, because I think that I know that there's a push to have more mass transit, but I'm not so sure if that's fair, particularly for Calvert County residents, because we're so far away from Washington D.C. area and also from Baltimore City. So wherever we see a need for roads to ease the traffic, the traffic problems that we do have, I know that some of the areas like where I live in Prince George's County, I was so excited when they brought Costco to town. They had in the Brandywine area. They had a shopping plaza set up, and it's only minutes from where I live. Well, it used to be minutes. Now it's many more minutes because it created a traffic problem, a permanent traffic problem. And I do know that there are some ways to fix that, but because the mentality is such that we want to spend our transportation dollars on mass transit, there's not a lot of effort towards easing that. I think that's the direction we need to go in. I mean, we are Marylanders, but we're also Americans. Americans love their freedom, they love their cars, love to be able to get in the car and drive down the road. Let's make sure we have nice roads to drive on.
Now, in your campaign travels in Calvert in particular, have you encountered any individuals, voters who ride the bus to work?
No, not really.
Okay.
I haven't. I mean, I don't know anyone in Calvert County that does that. I do know that as you know, some of the homes that I approach, they have some really long driveways. And just as a joke, of course, when I'm down there door knocking, I'll make a comment of, any chance I can get a ride back to the road? You know, and this goes back also to the rain tax, because you know it's based on how much impervious surface you have. And with some of these really long driveways, I think that it'll hit the residents pretty hard. But yeah, as far as the buses, I don't know of any.
Okay. Now, where do you stand, as long as we're talking about the rain tax, as long as that subject has been broached, what is your philosophy on the environment?
Oh, I actually believe that we should be taking care of the environment. I think that our biggest concern right now is probably the Chesapeake Bay. And you've heard many Republicans talking about this. I believe Larry Hogan was one, and I've also spoken that we should probably start by securing the Bay Restoration Fund, and because right now it's been raided to use in other spending priorities. So the money that goes into that through our fees and various methods should be secured, and we should be looking at ways to clean the bay up. The first thing was the area behind the Conowingo Dam at the end of the Susquehanna River. That whole silt pond area. We had enough money, which we probably should have. We could contract the Corps of Engineers to go in there and clean that up.
Okay.
That's a start of it.
But some people think that Exelon, which I think owns the facility, ought to be doing that. Is that really a taxpayer responsibility?
Well, I think that whole silt pond area, that's a result of a lot of, I mean, Exelon owns the facility there, or runs the facility there, but that whole area comes down the Susquehanna River all the way from up in New York. So I think there's effort that can be spread around from, you know, the taxpayers, from the, not so much the taxpayers, but the, well, I mean, again, we can go after Pennsylvania and have them help us clean it out as well. There are a lot of ways we can do that.
We keep hearing, you mentioned the fact that people are leaving because of the tax burden. We've also heard that businesses are leaving the state, and of course, the high-profile business Beretta attracted a lot of attention when they announced plans to move to Tennessee. What can we do to stop the exodus?
Oh, first thing we can do is reduce the corporate tax. Right now, I believe it's at 8.25%. Just bring that back a little bit. We can also ease up on some of the regulations. And when I say regulations, this is depending on which industry we're talking about. For example, the gas station around where I take my car to be serviced, it's one of the last holdouts for people who want to pump gas, or for gas station attendants who pump their own gas, for the gas station attendants who pump the gas so you don't have to get out of your car.
Full service.
Full service, there we go. It'd come out of me eventually.
Right.
But the owner told me that he had to pay $500 per person to certify, and he had 4 people on staff. That's $2,000. That just seemed like a lot of money for a small business like that. He could use that money for other things. There, with Beretta, I mean, there's taxes, there's the regulations, you know, to ease up a little bit on some of the gun bill. That's part of the reason they were a little bit concerned.
Phil, why would a county resident, a Calvert County resident, do well to support you and not your opponent?
Wow, compare and contrast. Well, my opponent, he kind of represents the will of the status quo. Time I've ever said anything remotely disparaging about him. But I've seen where, you know, the corporate tax, for example, I prefer that we lower it. He wants to keep it where it's at. The other thing I'm looking at also is that I recognize some of the differences between Calvert County and Prince George's County, knowing that Calvert County's got a lot. Calvert County's a beautiful county. I enjoy coming down here. But I know that there are some of the problems that we have. For example, I think that Calvert County should get more of their share of the transportation trust. I also think that Calvert County should get more of their share of the education money that goes to Annapolis. Right now, we're at 52%. Yeah, 52% of the budget in Calvert County is paid for by the state, which is actually lower than the state average. Whereas in Prince George's County, it's 63% of their budget. I just think that, you know, I'm getting to understand more and more of what Calvert County represents, and you know, one of the promises I've made to residents of Calvert County is that should they elect me, you know, what would be one of the things I would do for Calvert County, and that's not let it turn into Prince George's County in terms of unfunded mandates, you know, things like that.
You had a close primary.
Oh, yes,
Race.
17 votes. Now listen, go ahead, I'll let you ask the question.
But are you anticipating another close one in the general?
You know, I'll be honest, this is my first time running, and the harder I work, the more optimistic I feel. As far as the closeness, it seems like it's going to be close. I'll be honest with you. I talked to a lot of people, and I know what the numbers are. You know, I've seen them, I've studied them. Part of the reason anyway, I think it'll probably be close. I don't know if it'll come down to the wire like that.
Mm-hmm.
At least I hope not. I hope it goes in my favor.
Well, Phil, we wish you best of luck along
Thank
the
you very
campaign
much.
trail, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for tuning in to this edition of Countdown to November. I'm Marty Madden.